Okay, so let's talk about AI. It's poised to completely change the game for how nonprofits work, from the way you fundraise to how you connect with donors. But here's the thing, to really harness this power the right way, you can't just jump in blind. You absolutely need a strategy. So let's get into how you build one. And the need for a solid plan is, well, pretty urgent. Get this, right now, only 24% of nonprofits actually have a formal AI policy. That is a massive gap, and it leaves so many organizations open to risk, not to mention missing out on some incredible opportunities.
Because, when we talk about AI, we're really talking about a classic double-edged sword. It has so much promise, for sure, but it also comes packed with some very real dangers that every single organization needs to think about.
And the stakes here are super high. On one hand, the potential upside is just huge. I mean, think about it. AI can sift through mountains of data in minutes to pinpoint your next major donor. Or it could help you draft hundreds of personalized emails. But on the flip side, the risks are just as big. If you're careless with donor data, you could face major privacy breaches. And if you over-automate everything, your communication can start to feel cold and robotic, and you risk eroding the very trust your mission is built on.
So, the big question is, how do you get all that amazing promise while dodging the peril? Well, you need a playbook. A formal, written-down strategy isn't just a nice little document to have. It's your essential guide for using AI thoughtfully, safely, and to its full potential.
And look, this playbook doesn't have to be some crazy complicated thing. We're about to walk through a really clear, actionable framework. 5 key steps that any nonprofit, big or small, can use to build its AI strategy from the ground up.
All right, here's our roadmap. It's simple. First, define your goals. Second, lock down your data privacy. Third, pick ethical tools. Fourth, make sure you have human oversight. And fifth, and this is a big one, always focus on personalization. Let's break each one down.
Step 1 is all about purpose. Before you even think about a tool, you gotta ask yourself, what problem are we actually trying to solve here? Are we hoping to save time drafting grant proposals? Well, that's a job for generative AI. Or are we trying to find those high-potential donors who are kind of hiding in our database? That's where predictive AI comes in. Nailing down your specific goal makes every other decision so much easier. Okay, next up, and this is totally non-negotiable, you have to protect your data. The golden rule is this: never, ever feed sensitive personal donor info directly into a public AI tool. Your policy has to demand that you anonymize data, so you use codes or other identifiers instead of real names and addresses. You have to protect the privacy that your donors are trusting you with. Step 3 is about being smart about who you partner with. Not all AI platforms are built the same. You've got to do your homework. So what makes a tool ethical? Look for companies that are really transparent about how their algorithms work and are crystal clear about their data policies. Your tech should be just as aligned with your mission as your people are.
Look, AI is an amazing assistant, but it is not the boss. That's why step 4, human oversight, is so important. You always need a human in the loop. You need to assign specific people on your team to review whatever the AI creates, just to make sure it's accurate, it's on brand, and it sounds like you.
And that brings us to our 5th and, honestly, most important step, which is really more of a philosophy. Your goal here is to use AI to make human connections better, not to get rid of them. The whole point of these tools, especially in the nonprofit world, is to free up your team from the boring, repetitive stuff so they can spend more time building real, meaningful relationships with your supporters.
Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like out in the wild? Let's check out a couple of fantastic examples of nonprofits putting these ideas into practice right now.
First up, the University of South Carolina. They had a really common problem. They wanted to personalize a huge fundraising appeal, but they didn't have hundreds of hours to do it.
And wow, this just perfectly shows the power of focusing on personalization. Their goal? Tailor almost 400 appeal letters from different deans. And using AI, just 2 staff members got it all done. The result was, yeah, they saved a ton of time, but more importantly, the letters they sent were way more personal and way more impactful.
All right, our second example is from Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. They used AI to get a whole lot smarter about finding and taking care of their donors.
So their big challenge was trying to figure out which supporters in their giant database had the highest potential to give. The AI solution was a predictive model that actually updated donor scores every single day.
This meant their gift officers could stop guessing and instead focus their precious time and energy on the people who were most likely to make a huge impact. So, as you can see from these examples, there's a really clear theme emerging. The smartest way to use AI isn't to replace people, it's to amplify them. It's about giving your teams superpowers so they can be more efficient, more effective, and more connected.
So what are the big things to remember? First, AI is a tool for empowerment, not replacement. Second, to use it safely, you really have to create a formal AI policy to minimize risks. At the heart of that policy, a focus on personalization to build trust. And finally, start playing around with it. Use predictive AI for smarter prospecting and explore generative AI for a spark of creative content.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about your own organization, your own day-to-day work. What's the very first human connection you could make stronger or deeper by letting AI handle some of the grunt work? That, right there, is the perfect place to start.